Unlike all the other speakers, I brought a teleprompter. Um, do I need to raise this? Is it too far from me? I don't know how to do that. Is that gonna work? All right. Before I do anything at all, I want to dedicate my story tonight to Courtney Brousseau, um, who will forever be in our hearts and will never be forgotten. And before I tell you how I got my dream job, I just need to solve a Muni mystery that may have been haunting some of you. Have you ever boarded a bus, paid your fare, found a seat, and then suddenly you notice that the Muni operator is looking right at you in that little round mirror at the front of the bus? And not just looking at you, but really staring right directly at you. And they're staring, and it's not really a friendly expression, okay? They're looking at you, and the look on their face really says not just, I hate your haircut, it's, your haircut says something horrible about who you are as a person. And then they close the door, and they go about the business of driving the bus, and you almost forget about it. But then you look up, and the operator is looking at you again, right in that little mirror, just staring at you. And it's a look that says, you've done something personally horrible to the operator. Like, they've mistaken you for someone who, like, really wronged them somehow. And you don't really know what that could possibly be. You don't recognize this operator. But then they go back to driving, and now your attention is just riveted on that little round mirror, because and it's true, at the next bus stop, the operator is looking right at you for the whole time of that bus stop, just staring at that little mirror, and it's just a pure look of malice. It's like you're a Montague, and the operator is a Capulet, and neither of you is Romeo or Juliet, okay? Just a look of pure malice. And they go back to watching the road, and it just takes a minute for you to just kind of collect yourself. You're thinking to yourself, what did I do? You check to see, are you wearing pants? Are you naked from the waist down? No, you're wearing pants like you always do when you ride the bus. I hope. Well, I'm a Muni operator now. So I understand. I know what you did. You boarded the bus and sat down in the seat right behind the rear door. You see, you boarded a bus that happens to have a really slow rear door. And this door is taking just a few seconds too long to close. And the operator isn't looking at you at all. They're looking at the rear door, waiting for it to close so we can go. We're hoping the door will close and we can make the light. We want to make the light. But if the door doesn't close in time, we miss the light. Now we're late. And it's as if this door has a vendetta against us. But that's what that little round mirror is for. It's for checking to make sure that the area around the rear door is closed. And now you can rest easy if it's been years of your life that you've been wondering, why did that operator hate me? It wasn't you at all. So we'll go back in time 20 years. I'm 17 years and like 4 weeks old, and I am stepping above ground in San Francisco for the first time. I'm a college freshman, and I'm going to board a bus, my first Muni bus. It's the first thing I'm going to do above ground in San Francisco off of 16th Street BART. And I can hear the bus before I can even see it, because it's a trolley bus, and it's making the overhead wires sing in that particular music that sounds like a Star Wars laser battle, but softer, like pew, 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 pew. So I can hear it, and then my bus pulls up. It's a 22 Fillmore. It's in orange, white, and red Landor livery. I board the bus, pay that $1 fare, because it's 20 years ago. And this is the beginning of my relationship with Muni. I used to ride the 48 Quintara from the bay to the beach and back. It's like a 2.5-hour ride just to watch the city through the mirror. You go through the Potrero, you go through Mission, you go through Noe, through West Portal, through the sunset to the beach, and then all the way back. Amazing vistas in front of you. I would just glue my face to the mirror and watch the city unfurl itself in front of me. It was like the best rolling picture window in the world. And then I rode the Ocean View bus with the love of my life to our wedding at Stern Grove. She's here. So we took the Ocean View, and then you have to walk like a long, long block on Sloat to Stern Grove, but we did that. And then, let's see. Yeah, that's good. We're going to fast forward a bit. I didn't get enough time, okay? April 30th, 2018, Heather Knight and Peter Hartlaub embark on the San Francisco Chronicles Total Muni. This is a project to try to ride every Muni line in San Francisco in just one day. Does anyone remember Total Muni Day? It was an epic for the ages. And I actually printed a draft map that they left out and ambushed them on the 19 Polk at like 10 in the morning and made them sign autographs for me. Peter said it made him feel like Beyonce. And I just fell in love with everything about this idea and how it met the city and made Muni this conduit that you could explore every corner of the city from. And I came up with my own idea to ride every Muni line in the system end to end. And I would bring my kids along, and we would do this as our entire summer. That's what we did. We called it the Summer of Muni. We explored every corner of the city by bus, by streetcar, light rail, cable car. It took us the entire summer. On the last day of summer, we rode the 29 Sunset, Muni's longest line, and we finished up at Baker Beach. And we also visited every library, so we also caught the last library on that one. And during that time, we learned a few things about San Francisco. One, there is no part of San Francisco that Muni doesn't go to. Muni goes everywhere. And there's no place in San Francisco that is boring. So there's therefore no place that Muni goes that is boring. And the perpetual operator shortage of Muni meant that we spent quite a long time waiting on not all entirely boring curbs for quite a while. And it sort of dawned on me that if I wanted to sort of somehow be a part of the Muni system and improve it, maybe there was a real opportunity to become a Muni operator and cut some of those waits down for some passengers. And that's when I started to dream about getting a Muni job. It took a whole year for me to work up the courage to actually apply. And in the background of my excitement for this, there was sort of one huge lurking issue. And that issue was that I had never driven anything at all like a bus. I was afraid I might not be able to actually learn how to do it. Muni trains its operators, but Muni is also pretty picky about who it actually lets graduate. And historically, about 1 in 5 people do not make the cut and actually wash out of the program. And I was really concerned that I might be one of those people. And it took about 8 months from the time of my application to get a place in a training class, which is a really good time for Muni. And that was in April of 2020, which didn't happen. There was no April of 2020. It was just March until November, of this November, I think, was the end of March 2020. So everything at Muni changed as everything in the world changed. Most of the routes were suspended in service. Operator classes were postponed, and then they were later canceled. And at the same time, my kids are now in virtual school, and I'm like school secretary and tech support and a teacher's assistant, but really bad. And just sort of helping them navigate this really weird and scary time and trying to come to terms with this really weird and scary time. And now my anxiety wasn't so much, can I drive the bus? It was more, am I ever even going to get the chance to try? It took about 16 more months before I did get that chance. And in April 23rd, 2022, almost exactly 2 years from the time of my application, I am at the first day of operator training. I'm given a bright reflective vest and I'm assigned to an instructor, and we are asked to drive. I remember I sat down in the driver's seat for the first time, and my instructor said, "Start the bus." And I didn't know how. There's no key on the bus to turn the ignition at all. He said, "Start the bus," and I'm like, "There's like 1,000 buttons, okay, and there's like just 100 switches, and it's like, no, that one, turn it over here, and then you press the button, and the bus starts." And we're in a giant empty parking lot at the Cow Palace, and there's like this course of cones that's laid out, and you're supposed to drive through the cone course. You would not think that an orange traffic cone could inspire like a really high level of anxiety, but it absolutely can. Everything about driving a bus is different from driving a car. It's humbling for me to have to be taught how to turn right, which I thought I knew how to do, but if your bus is 40 feet long, it's different. I don't even exceed 5 miles an hour, but it feels like everything is happening incredibly fast. I have 4 days to practice on the cone course, and on the 5th day, I have to demonstrate a laundry list of skills. If I can't demonstrate that laundry list of skills, I'm going to be cut from the class, no mini jobs. It's really quite stressful. I was incredibly relieved when I passed that first skills test, but there are actually a number of different tests throughout, so you don't really get to relax throughout the entire training period. The really big thing that you move on to from the skills is road training. Now you're driving the bus on the San Francisco streets with cars and people, and our instructor on our first day on the road says, "Okay, you're gonna be given instructions while you're driving. I'm gonna be telling you what to do, when to stop, and it's super important that you don't look over your shoulder at me because all of the hazards are in front of you. If you want to look at me, there's a mirror. Use your mirror." In the days leading up to my road test, where we're actually go through a whole series of things, we do that cone course again. We do our air brake demonstration tests that shows we know how to operate air brakes and inspect the bus. And you do about 2 hours on the road driving through San Francisco with an examiner watching everything you do to make sure that you're not going to crash the bus. And in the days leading up to this test, all I can think about is bus. When I go to sleep, I just dream bus. Everything is bus. And when I finally finish up my exam and the examiner tells me, "Congratulations, you've passed. Welcome to your new home barn, the Woods Operating Division," I feel just incredibly accomplished. I really worked hard to earn that commercial driver's license with the air brake and the passenger endorsements. And the next stop for me is line training. Line training is when the operator, now fully licensed, takes the bus into revenue service to learn the quirks and peculiarities of all of the different Muni routes of your division that you're going to be responsible for driving. And the most special day of line training for me, my particular detail was to pull out to Hoover Middle School out in the sunset 14th Avenue in Santiago and do a school tripper run. So there's like a wave, just a massive wave of middle school kids that crash down on the bus. It's a little bit like a surfer getting eaten at Mavericks, It's just, and amongst that throng of kids who attacked our bus was my daughter, who rides the 48 to school every day. And so on this line training adventure, I got to drive my daughter home from school on the 48 Quintara. Skip that entire one. So I graduate from operator training on November 5th. We get our picture taken with the director of SFMTA and with the mayor. I'm given also at that time the most valuable artifact in all of Muni, which is, that's the bathroom key. This lets us use the tiny bathrooms. They're so little. And then I'm out on my own. The next day, the following day, I'm out on my own operating a Muni route. On day 2, I'm operating the 36 Teresita. And it's a beautiful Sunday afternoon, just gorgeous sunlight. But my bus is having a problem. The air pressure is not right on the air brakes. And the low air warning light and buzzer, which sounds like this. activate. And this is, I know what this means. It means that I have to stop the bus. I pop the yellow diamond handle of the emergency brake. If I don't do that, then the air pressure keeps going down. The spring brake is going to activate. And when the spring brake activates, no matter where you are or how fast you're going, your wheels are going to lock up and you are not going to go anywhere anymore. And that is a legitimately scary position to be in a bus with a bunch of people on it. So I pop the brake and I call the button, the radio button, the Transit Management Center, which is the people you call for help. It's incredibly reassuring to have somebody you can call for help if you're in a really tough position. And I get instructions to move the bus to the nearest bus zone and wait for the shop truck. And can we get a hand for the Muni mechanics who come out no matter what weird crap has happened to your bus? Because it's always interesting. And I tell all my passengers to get off the bus, and I apologize to them. But it's a matter of safety. You don't want to be on the bus when the brakes go. And I'm also thinking to myself, did I do something horribly wrong? Did I break the bus? Is it my fault that the low air pressure warning system is active on my bus and there's no, the brakes aren't operating? And the shop mechanic comes with his truck, and I tell him it's my second day as an operator and I've already broken down. I can't believe it. And he tells me, get used to it. Which I do. It's a problem with the air compressor. It's not working at its full capacity and not filling up the air containers fast enough. So that bus is taken back to the yard, and I get a new one to finish my shift. On November 13th, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings became available to stream on Disney+. My family sits down in our living room to watch it, and there's this one scene. Michael Anthony Taylor is playing the role of bus operator for San Francisco Transit. And when a fight breaks out on his bus, he doesn't stop the bus and open the doors and pop the brake, as I've been trained to do, but he keeps rolling. And when a man with an energy sword arm cuts through the floor of the bus and severs the air hose, the bus operator doesn't stop the bus and pull the brake, as I've been trained to do, so that the spring brake won't activate. And the spring brake doesn't activate, neither does the low air pressure warning system for the bus, which is disconcerting. He should have caught that on the pre-trip exam. And when the bus operator, Michael Anthony Taylor, looks over his shoulder to see what's happening with the energy sword arm man, he doesn't see the car making the illegal left turn right in front of him, which is by far the most realistic part of this entire scene. And so there's a collision, and the bus operator's knocked out, and he falls out of the seat. He's not wearing a seatbelt. And there's this wildly entertaining, out-of-control bus/fight scene that ensues. And I might have been making some commentary about the bus stuff during this scene. And my wife, again, she's always right, says you should do a Twitter thread about this. And so I do. And then 2 hours later, Simu Liu, who is Shang-Chi himself, is calling my tweets fucking awesome. And it's time for me to go drive the 28 19th Avenue. And when I get home, it's really blown up. The thread has literally millions of views. There are articles on everything from Gizmodo to USA Today. I have Roman Mars in my DMs saying that I should go on to 99% Invisible. And let me find my place. It's a good thing I have this. And what I really wanted to hear from was other operators, to sort of be validated if what I was saying was true. And I was incredibly gratified to hear from operators literally all over the world who say that they did exactly the same thing when they watched the movie. They annoyed their families. And the attention did get a little overwhelming. I had to start turning down television interviews. And SF Gate called me San Francisco's most famous Muni operator. At this time, I had been a Muni operator for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. My fame, my 15 minutes of fame reaches zenith when I am an answer on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR news quiz. Here we are. I've worked for Muni now for 7 months, and I've driven 26 different routes in revenue service so far. I am still very much a rookie operator. I am making mistakes and learning and improving my skills and my people skills every trip. Every corner of the city has some new challenge to navigate, be it tight turns, incredibly steep or narrow streets, and there's a never-ending supply of cars that find new and surprising and fascinating ways to make getting to that next bus stop very interesting. And passengers also have this ability. It is never boring, believe me. It is satisfying, though. When I pull the bus back into the yard at the end of my shift, I know that I have played a part in getting people where they want to go safely in a sustainable way on public transit, and that is incredibly gratifying. It's been 20 years since I first stepped on a Muni bus. The glorious city still unfurls itself in front of me, and now I have the greatest picture window of all, that enormous bus windscreen. I have my dream job now. I'm a Muni operator. Thank you for riding with me.